ourselves?
Yep. I
All
think
right.
we just started presenting. All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name is Ben Wagoner. I am the LRC Director and Media Specialist at St. Charles North.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Cannon. I'm the LRC Media Specialist over at Red Lane Middle School, and I'll be Ben's co-host. So there's a little chat icon in the upper right corner. Looks like a dialog box. If you want to click that, it will keep a little chat panel along the right-hand side there. So should you have any questions while Ben's sharing his screen and showing us everything about Google Forms, you can post in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer.
And again, please, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If we can't get to the question right away, we will come back to it. We will follow up with you. If we don't know an answer, we'll say we don't know the answer and we'll get back to you. But we also have some amazing people like Kim and Tanya and Marie here who can also jump into the chat and help us out with anything we don't have. So today we're going to be looking at Google Forms. We're going to look at Google Forms using it as far as a quiz to help assess. We'll be showing a few different advanced features with it. If you want to know more about it, we will say you can do this, you can do this. We won't go into everything, but if you want, you can always contact myself, Megan, or your LRC director to get more information on how to do those things. So let's get started. So we're going to start off by going to Google Forms. Google Forms has a couple templates that are nice. Again, today we're going to be talking specifically about the quiz. You can do a blank quiz. They have an exit ticket, they have an assessment, they have a worksheet, they have a course evaluation. Those are the ones that are there. The blank quiz, it's fine. I don't think it's really necessary. Today we are going to go through starting from a blank Google form, just so you can see the process and how you would do everything. Once we are here, we are going to title our quiz. So I'm just going to call this Google Forms Live PD. And then if I click up here, it should populate what I had there, will automatically pop up. If I do make a change here, if I want it to be reflected up here, I'd have to come up and actually click and make the change. You can put a description in for your students. This is where we will show how to use the form for assessment. All right, now once we get here, the next thing we want to do is actually we're going to change the settings. So we're going to go up to the settings gear up here. When we click on settings, we're going to click quizzes and we're going to make this a quiz. So once we have this, you can set it up so it's turned on locked mode. If we set it up for it's turned on locked mode, that means the students must be taking it on a Chromebook. They can't take it on their phone. They can't take it on another computer. It must be taken on a Chromebook. Some advantages to that are once it's in that locked mode, they won't be allowed to open up other tabs or applications. It forces them to stay in that tab. But by that same token, if they don't have their Chromebook with them or their Chromebook is broken and they can't get to the district to swap out a new one, they then can't take the quiz. So make that decision based upon what you want, whether or not you want turn locked mode on now. I am going to have it off so that way as I'm presenting and how things are working, I can easily show it to you. You can have it show a progress bar. You can have it shuffle question order if you want. And then for general, it automatically sets up to collect email addresses. You can have a response receipt in there if you would like. When you click quizzes, it restricts it to the users in District 303 and it limits it to one response. I'm going to turn that off for now, but that way it is automatically clicked when you click quizzes. It just make it limit it to one response. You can then have them see summary charts and tech responses after they submit, and if they want them to edit after they submit. I don't recommend checking that one if you're trying to use this as an assessment. With there, I'm going to click Save. There are a few other options I do want to talk about. There are some add-ons that you can do by clicking add-ons. Ones like form notifications you can set up, and when a student submits something in this form, you get an email about it. You can click over here, customize your theme by choosing a different header to go at the top. I'm just going to click Jelly Beans because it sounds good. And you'll see it pop up. At the top, you can change your theme color, your background color, your font color. And then this is the preview mode. I'm going to get out of the theme options. As we're going through, this plus sign adds another question. This one imports questions from other Google Forms. So what's nice about this, if you want to take a question that you've used in the past, instead of copying the entire form, you can copy just that question from that form into this, so you don't have to retype everything if you're wanting to do that. You can add a title and description. Here's where you can add an image. You can add a video. The videos can be from your Google Drive or from YouTube. And then here's how we're going to add a section, and we will show how to add a section. Something that we have found in using the Google Forms is you want the students to put their name on there. If you're using Google Classroom, when you see the responses, or so when you look at the responses, it'll see their email addresses, but their email addresses aren't their name. So we want to make sure you're asking them to put their name on there. You can have them go last, then first. I usually do first name, last name, so it's easy for me to sort, because when I do last name, first name, many students don't do that. I do want to make it required. It is a short answer. And then under here it says answer key. So because putting their name, I don't want them to get any points for that. I'm going to click answer key. I'm going to then put the points to 0 and then click done. So again, for every single question in the quiz mode, it automatically assigns it as 1 point. So if you're putting in something like a name, you want to make sure you're going into your answer key and changing it to 0 points, and you can see down at the bottom, it has 0 points. I'm going to add a new question. If I was going to have a last name and a first name, what I could easily do, I could just click copy and then change this to be last and then name first. So by clicking copy, it does make it easy to work with. For this question, I am going to look at, let's say, let's do a math equation. So we're going to say, solve the equation. Our district used something called Equagio. And so I'm going to click Insert Math, and that's where this is popping up. I am then going to do speech input because I find that easier. I'm going to click record. 3 plus 4 times 3 plus the square root of 16 squared equals. You want to make sure that you hit the pause button for your speech input, because even if you're not in here, it will keep adding your speech into there. I will click Insert Math. And it automatically puts that equation in as a picture for me. If you have another picture that you're wanting to put in, you can just click the picture icon, and you could upload it. You could take a camera if you want to take a picture of yourself. If you have something from your Google Image Drive or Google Image Search, you could do that. But I'm just going to use this one for this. Did I just get rid of it? I think, oh, it's still there. Good. All right, now for the types of questions we have short answer, we have paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down, and then we have a file upload and some other different scales in here. Today specifically, we're going to be looking at the short answer, the multiple choice, and the checkboxes. The drop down is very similar, and file upload is very easy to do. I can show you how to do that as well. So we're going to say for this math answer, we actually want it to be a short answer for solving the equation. Now for every single question, so I have solved the equation, I have a picture, I can click the 3 dots down on the right-hand side and click description. This will pop up something here. And if I wanted to just have a general response, that I wanted to use, I could say, don't forget to use PEMDAS. And again, this box that popped up was an extension called Equagio that we have, and it looks this up here. And again, we can show you how to do that and help you get that. Now, the next thing I want, so I'm going to go to the answer key. Now looking at this, it's an equal 1 point. I'm going to say I want the answer to be 31. 31 is the correct answer. I'm going to click mark all other answers as incorrect. If let's say there are a couple different answers, I could put in other answers I wanted to. But by clicking mark all other answers as incorrect, it will automatically grade this question for me. If I don't click mark all other answers as incorrect, it will make me go in, review the question, and then put the number of points the student earned. Now, let's say the student did something, if they get it wrong, I want to give them feedback. I could have a link to something. I could be a link to a website I want them to look at. I could, if I did a screencastify, I could put a link to the screencastify in there. But for this, I'm just going to say, I'm going to pull a YouTube video about PEMDAS. And we're going to use Mr. Science Guy. And if I click save, it automatically puts in feedback for all answers. So that way, if the students want to see what they can do, this is looking at order of operations. Now, let's say if a student doesn't use order of operations, that it's going to come out to 37. I know that students are going to come with 37, but I want to help them. I want them to, if they get 37, that they are going to get something to help. So I can click on the 3 dots and click response validation. Now this gets a little confusing, and Megan, would you please make sure I'm saying this correctly, because I was saying it incorrectly earlier. So if this greater than, so we can greater than or equal to, this is talking about what the correct answer would be. So if a student can put an answer in here, we would say that was right. So if I say, if the answer is less than 37, it means anything that's less than 37, it's not going to give them this error text for. But if it's 37 or higher, it'll say, I'll put in here, make sure to use PEMDAS to get the correct answer. So if they put any question for their question, if they put 37 or higher, it will then give that, make sure to use PEMDAS. So let me show you how that looks. I'm going to click the eye up here for preview. We have our names, but for my answer, we said the answer was 31. So as we look at it, nothing pops up. But if I put 37, because we know that's a common answer, make sure to use PEMDAS to get the correct answer. Now, if a student has 37 and they try to, hold on. If they try and submit, it won't let them submit because it has this response validation here. If a student puts 36, that response validation is no longer there. They could submit it and still get the wrong answer. We're just trying to give them hints throughout to make for those common mistakes so we can help them since we're not there. So if I would click submit, it would then submit it with the wrong answer. Any questions so far for this math problem, Megan?
No questions so far. Someone asked about how you were doing that with the blue little icon, and put in the chat, that is Equatio. Our district has purchased that for all students, all staff. It's a great way to input math digitally. It works in forms, slides, docs, sheets, any Google app or tool. So.
All right, so I will jump on. Now, if we didn't have a number, we have other ways of saying it. So if there was text, I'm going to change this. We can say, if we want to make sure that it contains a specific text or doesn't contain a text, if you're looking for an email address or URL, you can put those parameters in. You could say, I want a maximum character count. It's not words, it is character counts. So if you want to make sure that they're not writing too much, you can put that in there. And then also for regular expression, you can have it look for something. Again, it would be contain or matches or doesn't match. You can have that in there, but I'm going to go back to the number and saying less than and 37, and then don't forget to use. All right. Now we're going to look at another question. The next type of question we're going to look at is going to be a checkbox. And with the checkboxes, what's really nice is, let's say you want them, you have more than one answer, and you want the students to know how many they're supposed to answer correctly. Because I forget the animals I used, I'm actually going to import a question from a different test. So, sorry, I didn't explain what I was doing. So the second one here is import questions. I'm going to click import questions. I'm going to click from the Google Forms test quiz. And then I'm going to do which of these animals live in Madagascar. I'm going to select the one I want. And then I'm going to click import questions in the bottom right-hand corner. And now that question is here. I'm just going to get rid of that one. Now with this one, it is a checkbox. I clicked on the answer key. Let's say I want this to be worth 4 points because there are 4 answers. I can go through and select which ones I want to be correct. So it's the ii, the fossa, the tenrec, and the sifaka lemur. Sorry, the spider monkey is not in Madagascar. I can add, again, I can add answer feedback. With this, I can add specific feedback for incorrect answers and for correct answers. So for correct answers, you rock, you like to move it. Sorry. Sorry. And then incorrect answers, look here, and then you can have a website or a link or a video you could post in there. Now I'm going to click done. I have it set at 4 points, which is what I want. Now, under the response validation I put in, I have select exactly 4 because there are 4 correct answers. Now, I did that because I wanted to make sure that students know that there are 4 correct answers, but I could change it to select at least, and I could say select at least 2. So as the students are going through, is there only 1? Is there 2? If they select 1, it would say you haven't selected enough, and then they could go through. So this is nice to help the students know what to click, what they're going to be doing, again, as you're not there. And again, if they haven't selected enough, they would not be able to submit that question. So I'll just say select at most 4. And then not all the animals live in Madagascar. Let's take a look to see how that specific question would look. Which of these animals live in Madagascar? I've selected 1, 2, 3, 4, white. Oh, not all the animals live in Madagascar. So once I got to that 5th one, the response validation popped up saying I did too many. So, oh, that's right. I clicked spider monkey by accident. Now I know I can select it. Let me jump out of that again. And then again, you can put in the description, and you can shuffle the option order so that way the options change for each time they take it. Are there any questions about checkboxes? No?
Nope,
All right.
I don't think so.
Now, this next one, this is where it gets really fun, and multiple choice questions are awesome. So I'm going to say, which company produces the most tires? It's multiple choice. I'm going to, as a suggested answer, that option is Michelin, if I spelled that correctly, Goodyear, and Firestone. The reason why Lego popped up is because I have this question on a separate quiz, and it knew that that's what the answer was from before. Now, I can go through, and what I love about this is I can go to a section based upon an answer. So I know that Lego is going to be marked as true, as correct, and so I can put on here submit form. But if you marked Michelin, Goodyear, or Firestone, I can have you continue to the next section. So with this, what you could do, so I'll add a new section, and I'll just call it tires. And then I'll add a question in here. Tell me why Lego is correct. And then I can put in the description. I have a short answer. In the description, they can click here, read it, and add what their answer is going to be. What's nice about this is you can have it set up where if a student gets something wrong, you could put a different section in there for them to review. Oh, this is how I work this skill. The next section could just be a video you added. And after that video, there could be a question and they're answering, showing they can do it. So there's a lot of little options in here that can take some time, but once everything is together, it really works very, very well. Anything else? Any questions about the multiple choice questions?
So we have a question about feedback. If you hold back feedback from being released, eventually releasing scores via email, will students still be able to see the feedback that you provide, like through those comments and that, or are they just going to get their score via email?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know off the top of my head. Marie, Tanya?
I think they're going to get the feed. If you provide answer comment feedback as they're doing the form, they're going to get that answer feedback as they're going. They might not get like the score because you can mark whether or not they see the points.
Right.
So in elementary, you do, obviously, you have to let your students know that you're using your email feature to communicate that. So if you're not a teacher that's using email to communicate with your students, then you're just going to have to either tell them to go to their email, or you need to put it, like copy and paste it into their Google Classroom assignment.
Can I jump in on that real quick?
Please.
So the issue is that obviously for test security or quiz security, if you release all the feedback, then the first person that completes that quiz gets all your information, all your feedback, which can then be just disseminated to everybody else. If you hold everything back, then eventually you want your kids, just like if you were grading papers, you would hold them until everybody's completed them and then submit those scores and with their feedback so they could see that. So it seems like it's a big problem I'm kind of running into. If I just give a strict formative quiz and the kids, I'm not taking it for points, it's great because the kids see their feedback right away. But if I really want to see if they know it, it's kind of a big issue.
Mm-hmm. So being careful with the comment and the feedback that you're giving throughout the quiz so that it's not indicating specific answers that they would see and be able to communicate to others. Is that what you might mean, James?
Exactly, yeah. So, even if I had a quiz of mixed questions where I had, 5 multiple choice, 2 short answers, 2 paragraph, typically what I do is, obviously on the multiple choice, you could provide the right answer. Well, all 5 of those now, a kid could go through and go, correct answers are this, 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 and this, send it through a Snapchat to somebody. And then, I'm not really worried about it right now, but, in the future, as a tool for working, maintaining test security, for paragraphs, I usually write, sort of, here's an expected response that I think would have qualified as a good answer. But unfortunately, if you really want to get, I think, valid data back from the kids, if you are releasing all that feedback for every kid, well, obviously, it's pretty easy to game that.
I think that's a great point for test security, just being aware of those comments and the feedback that you're providing throughout the quiz.
I just want to jump in for a second too. And I haven't used it for a long time, but Megan, remember, used to use Flubaroo, and that gave us more control. So we didn't use the quiz feature. This is actually before the quiz feature in Google Forms, but there's an add-on, Flubaroo, that gave you a little bit more control and give more personalized feedback too. So I can look into that and kind of throw something in the chat if it's still around and if there's any tutorial on that. That'd
be great. Thanks, Marie.
Thanks, Marie.
And then so Susan, I'm not sure I understand your question about the extension for the arrow next to the painter's palette. Are you talking about that little puzzle piece for the add-ons?
Yeah, whatever's next to yes, that one.
Yep. So those are different add-ons that you can access through the marketplace. We're not sure. Some may be blocked by the district, so you'd have to kind of like experiment with that. But there's different add-ons. I think Ben mentioned like the one where you could get notifications if someone completes the form. There's one called Form Limiter that allows you to limit responses or how many times a form can be accessed by different rules like dates and that. So those you can feel free to explore. There's a lot of great add-ons though that you can, you know, pump up your Google Forms even more.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So then you can click responses. You would click create spreadsheet to be able to see the responses. Everything's in here. Obviously, we haven't done this, so I'm going to jump over to this Google Forms test quiz that I did before so we can see what the responses do look like. So here I have a summary. What's nice is I can see a total points distribution. I can see how many correct responses there were. I can see the scores. Again, this is where you see the email address, whatever. And then what I like about it is you can have these tables saying what was answered, what wasn't answered, and you can easily copy and paste this into what you're looking for. If you do go through and create a spreadsheet, you can create a new one for this test quiz. I'm going to click create. And then something that I really like to do, it's something that's quick and something that's easy, because you can go through, you can see the email address, the names, the equations. You can click on this first row. And then if you go to data, and it's going to be create a filter. And it's going to create a data filter. What's nice is with these filters, you can go through and I can say, okay, I want to see anyone in here who didn't guess Lego. And then it takes out everyone else who didn't guess Lego, so I can see what they did. So it's a quick way that I can go through and filter the information. Again, if you want to know more about that, you can contact me. I just wanted to show that as you're looking at the data, using something called the data filters is a quick and easy way to sort your answers and see who answered what. Let me just double check to make sure I hit everything. And then lastly, if we're going to be adding other questions, if you're going to add a video, you would click add video. And again, you can pull up the video. Please make sure that if you're putting a video from YouTube in here that it is approved. It does show videos that aren't approved. Actually, the one that I'm clicking on, I'll just click on a different one, wasn't approved, so students wouldn't have been able to watch it until I did that. Even though it was very good, this one's not approved, but that was how you would add a video as part of a section. Are there any other questions that people have? Oh, yes, thank you, Christy. I forgot to go over that. So when I'm ready to give this to students, there are a few different ways you can do that. You can send it via email, which is fine. I like the link form. Please don't click the shorten URL. Our Chromebooks are set up to not work very well with the shortened URLs in Google. If you want to embed it, you can do this. But if you're just going to take it, I can copy it, and then I can put it somewhere. If you are wanting to add a collaborator, so this is by sending this email or using this link or using this embed code, this is going to make it so that person is going to take the quiz. If you want to invite another teacher to work on it and collaborate and edit, you're going to come down here to the bottom and click Add Collaborators. And this is where I would add Megan Cannon. And so she now has access to it. Again, to add people to work on it with you, you add collaborators. To send it to your students, you can send it this way. Now, if you go into your Google Classroom, all right. If you go into your classwork, you can click Create. Now, if you click Create Quiz Assignment, it's going to create a new quiz that it will then have a link for you to click, and that can it'll pop you into Google Forms. But since we've already made it, I'm just going to click Create Assignment. From this, I'll call it Google Forms live quiz, instructions, good luck. I'll click add. I'm going to add it from Google Drive. Google Forms Live PD. Now the quiz is here. I can then choose to put it on locked mode on Chromebooks, or I can choose to take it off from locked mode. On the right-hand side, I can click if I want it for all students or select individual students. I can put a due date, I can put in a topic, and if you have rubrics that you have, you can put a rubric on there. And then after that, I would click assign. So let's say I'm going to make this due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. for all students. I'm going to click assign, and now it is in Google Classroom.
Tanya has her hand up. I think she might want to add something.
Tanya.
Yes, I'm wondering, Ben, maybe you can clarify. If they put it as an assignment, but they can't grade it that way, though, correct? It doesn't show up in Google Classroom as a grade?
It does show up in Google Classroom as a grade. That's a great question. So if I go into
Do that, though?
View Assignment,
Okay.
what I would do is, and this was, as this Google Forms test quiz was put in as an assignment, you will see all of the grades. Megan already completed hers, and I had clicked import grades. So when you want the grades to go into the gradebook, you click import grades. It'll only push that student's grades in once. So if a student takes it a second time and gets a better score, you're going to have to manually override it. Also, it is importing the grades. It is not importing the actual questions and that they did. You'll see that those aren't here. So therefore, the people won't be able to see, or you won't be able to see what the student did. In order to see that, you'd have to go into your Google Forms test quiz, which is here. You could look at the responses and look at by individual to see for the student, by question, or if you wanted to go into your Google spreadsheet that was populated.
Ben, can you show them the grade book in Google Classroom just to show them what it looks like once you click import grades?
Yeah. Let me jump back to here.
And then I think we are a little bit over time right now. So this will be our last here.
Oh, it was the PD quiz test that we did.
Yeah.
So it was this one. So it just shows a 0 out of 2. And then you can see, again, her grade was put in, but you can't see what she answered.
Unless you go back to the Google form.
Unless you go back to the Google form, yes.
You can't click from that window like we're used to in Google Classroom, where you can click the name and the doc appears. It won't open up that specific student's form and how they answered. You'd have to go back to your spreadsheet to access that.
Correct.
There was one question that I missed up at the top here real quick. There was this about spacing and how in elementary, if they don't input the number or the word exactly right and they have a little bit of a spacing issue and you're automatically grading, how would that affect
that is where we can come in. I'm going to the math equation because it's short answer. If they are typing it in, you would have to put in multiple correct answers if you wanted it to automatically grade. If you wanted to go through and say, I'm just going to grade that question, you can click mark all, or unselect mark all other answers as incorrect, and then you'd go through and grade that specific one yourself.
Yeah, so it's kind of a guessing game. But if you knew, like, well, they tend to leave this out, they might not put this here, or they switch these two letters around. If you can kind of like plan for some of those misspellings and spacing issues, you could go about it that way.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Would you also
let me get the
put the form in? If you wouldn't mind putting in the PD feedback form, that would be great. Again, my name is Ben Wagoner. I'm at North. And Megan was my co-host. She's over at Redling. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us, or even your LRC directors or technology specialists. We are here to help you with anything that you need.
Thanks, guys, for coming. And we put the link in for the feedback form. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.